The Bloodline stands tall. Championship matches are set for SummerSlam, and set your watches because it's Tiffy time. We are diving into this week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown to discuss the highlights, the big moments, and the big misses. This is About Last Night on Rumble Rewind. Well, hey everybody, thanks for stopping by Rumble Rewind. My name is Brandon, and we are talking about Friday Night SmackDown, some of the big moments, the big matches, and the big misses from the show. Before we do that, do me a quick and absolutely free favor that really helps support and grow the channel. Scroll down below this video, hit that like button for me. Go ahead and subscribe if you are not already, and ring that bell for notifications. We've got some goals that we're shooting for here in the next couple of weeks, and we would love your help. Every like, every subscribe really helps get this channel out in front of wrestling fans just like you, and it really, really means a lot to me, so thank you so much for the support. So go ahead and do that. Like, subscribe, turn on those notifications. I'll wait. All right, let's dive into this week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown. We got a few big items to discuss like always, and first up on this week's top 3 is the show opener. As SmackDown came onto the air, the clock struck Tiffy time, and she came to the ring to celebrate her Money in the Bank win. Now, of course, as she was talking, Bayley would interrupt. She would come to the ring to discuss the logistics of this briefcase, this contract, and she, in fact, told Tiffany that if she planned on cashing in on Bayley, then she should also plan on making history again as the first woman to fail a cash-in. At this point, Nia Jax comes to the ring and reminds Bayley of their upcoming match at SummerSlam, and she calls Bayley BDL Bayley. And is it embarrassing that I had to look that up? Anyway, eventually Tiffany and Nia would, of course, attack Bayley in the ring, and this brings out Michin to make the save with the kendo stick. Now, we would go to commercial from there, but after the break, we would come back to the already in progress match between Michin and Nia Jax that was advertised for this week. The two of them have been in a bit of a feud, kind of mostly in backstage segments, but they're finally getting their match tonight. Bayley and Tiffany would both remain at ringside. Nia, of course, won't be losing between now and SummerSlam as she's the #1 contender, so she got the win with the Annihilator. After the match, Nia was going to continue the attack on Michin, but of course, Bayley jumps into the ring to make the save, bringing Tiffany back in to hit Bayley with the briefcase, and Nia and Tiffany leave Bayley laying in the ring. Now, as they were leaving the ring, Tiffany would tease that she was going to cash in her Money in the Bank briefcase, but Nia Jax would step in and put a stop to it, basically asking Tiffany what she was doing. Tiffany acted like she was just kidding, just practicing, and even Corey Graves said, yeah, she was just trying to get a dry run to see what it would feel like. Of course, this is the dynamic that I thought we'd get between Tiffany and Nia. Bayley was even sowing seeds of that as far as their alliance goes during her own promo, during her mic time. And while I do think that it was good to tease the cash in here, I really hope that this is not an every week or even every 2 weeks sort of thing. I would actually like the Money in the Bank contract to become sort of an afterthought, sort of back of mind to the rest of us, and then to be cashed in kind of seemingly out of nowhere. Just all of a sudden, Tiffany comes to the ring, cashes in that Money in the Bank contract, and wins the championship. Whenever you see these teases over and over and over again, it devalues sort of the situation, and it kind of makes the contract holder look not very intelligent. If you think back to Damian Priest, he sort of became a laughingstock over the course of time that he held the Money in the Bank briefcase. Those conversations continue to come up even though Priest was successful in one of the best cash-ins that we've seen in a long time. It happened at WrestleMania. It was really well done, and he's carried the championship well since then. But the whole time he had the Money in the Bank briefcase, he was sort of a joke to the wrestling world, and I would hate to see that happen to Tiffany. Same thing happened to Austin Theory. In both of these cases, and with Io Sky even to a certain extent, the Money in the Bank briefcase holder ends up just taking loss after loss after loss while they're holding the briefcase. And I think WWE does this because they know that they can immediately insert them back into the main event picture by having them cash in that briefcase and win the championship. I really don't want to see that happen to Tiffany. I would like to see Tiffany built up over the weeks and months that she holds this briefcase so that when she wins the championship, She does look like a legitimate champion, a legitimate contender. I think she's well on her way, but if they book her to take nothing but losses between now and the time she cashes in, it's going to be really hard for her to carry that championship well. So, especially since the Money in the Bank for the men's side is already gone, it's already been a failed cash-in, I really hope they do something to make Tiffany Stratton look like a legitimate competitor. Let me know your thoughts, though. What do you think of Tiffany Stratton as Miss Money in the Bank, and when do you think she should cash it in? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I would love to interact with you down there and continue this discussion. But let's move on and discuss some of the other things that happened tonight on SmackDown. This week, my biggest moment and my match of the night are kind of intertwined with one another. So before we get to that, let's talk about some of the other moments that happened during the show. First, we got an interview with Andrade prior to SmackDown. He was in the empty arena. He was talking to Byron Saxton, and Saxton was asking him about Money in the Bank and what he was going to do next. But before Andrade could answer that question, he was interrupted by Carmelo Hayes. Melo said that everyone needed to remember that he was a first-round draft pick and he should be the one in this interview and he should be getting treated better. Andrade puts a stop to it and says, what was your actual question to Saxton? And he said, what's next? Andrade answers the question by saying, him. So we are going to get an Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes, at least a match, if not a feud here pretty soon. And I can't wait for it. I think that the match itself is going to be incredible. They're both actually really good with their mic time, with their promos and stuff like that. They haven't done a great job lately, though, and it seems like both of them are a bit unsettled in their character. So hopefully through this, they can help each other develop into superstars that we know that they have the potential to be. We would also see Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews teaming up to take on Legado del Fantasma. This rivalry has been brewing for the last couple of weeks, and we would finally get a tag match between the two teams. Now, late in the match, Elektra Lopez would distract the referee, allowing Santos Escobar to get involved. Angel would hit the wing clipper to get the pin over Apollo Crews for the win. And sure, this feud is going to continue, and Crews and Corbin are going to probably continue to be in it, but I'm curious as to see if they're trying out an actual Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews tag team. Maybe they'll find some sort of tag team chemistry and just continue to work together going forward. I do wonder, though, and I do hope that at some point Santos Escobar and the rest of Legado can escape this sort of mid-card vortex that they've been stuck in for a very, very long time. I think they've got the potential to be a great faction, but WWE is just not really doing anything with them right now. So hopefully they'll move forward as well. Now, the rest of the night sort of all happened together in a really odd way. We would see a segment where backstage, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven were waiting outside of Nick Aldis's office. Now, what's also interesting to note here is if you look over Chelsea's shoulder, you can see Blair Davenport talking to Isla Dawn. I don't really know what that's about. Isla and Alba Fire are both signed to Raw, and Blair's obviously SmackDown. They are holding the Women's Tag Team Championship, so that does mean that they can go back and forth. So I don't know what's going on here. Rarely does WWE do anything like this that's completely random and insignificant. It means something, but what? We'll have to see as we continue to follow the story. Pretty Deadly came along to get the budget approved for Pretty Deadly the musical, which we need this. We need this. Approve the budget, Nick Aldis. I don't care what it's asking for, just approve it. We need Pretty Deadly the musical. Let me know your thoughts. Would you go see Pretty Deadly the musical? Anyway, LA Knight would emerge from the office with a folder with the SmackDown logo on it. More on that in a few minutes. But Chelsea would ask if Nick was busy. LA Knight said, oh yeah, Nick's a little bit busy. He'll get back to you. He said it'll be a few more minutes. Chelsea kind of settles back into waiting mode. We would see beside her, though, Piper Niven was reading a book called How to Start a Cult, which was really weird. It felt a little random, like why is she reading a book in the first place and why this book? My best guess is with all the stuff happening on Raw and the Wyatt Six and them kind of running roughshod over Monday Night Raw, Piper's like, maybe I can get some of that. But who knows? We'll see if that goes anywhere. It could go nowhere at all, but it was just an interesting find in the process. Now, LA Knight from there would come to the ring and cut his own promo and said that he had a contract in that folder for a United States Championship match at SummerSlam. Knight said that his signature was on it, Nick Aldis' signature was on it, and the only thing missing was Logan Paul's signature. So he invited Logan Paul to the ring to sign the contract, but then said, oh wait, Logan Paul is not here. Obviously he's not here, but Knight did say that he would get the contract signed one way or another. Later in the night, it was advertised that Logan Paul will be on SmackDown next week, and I assume that this will continue to move forward. We'll get the contract signed or we won't, but the story will progress. All right, last thing to talk about from there is we would get a match between Blair Davenport and Naomi. We would see a vignette featuring Blair right before she made her entrance, followed by Naomi. The match was fine, and it would ultimately end with Blair arguing with the official over a 2 count and then turning around to meet a knee and a backside from Naomi for the win. Now, I was a little disappointed here. I thought Blair really needed the win, especially since Naomi had the out of being in that brutal Money in the Bank match. She had her shoulder taped up and everything, an easy out to give Blair a win and protect Naomi, but that's not exactly what happened. However, later in the night, there was another backstage segment, and here we saw Naomi meet up with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They would congratulate her on her win and talk about them going for the tag team titles again. They said they wanted to talk to Aldis, but Aldis wasn't here. That was overheard by Chelsea Green and Pretty Deadly, and they all kind of dispersed and stormed off. Everyone went their separate ways, and then Blair approached Naomi saying, "Look, I don't want any trouble. The better person won. Maybe I'll get lucky next time." She shook Naomi's hand and she walked away, only to come back a few minutes later and attack Naomi. So this feud is not over. There's more to come, and I hope that it does begin to build up Blair Davenport. Blair has a lot to offer. She's really good in the ring. She actually cuts a good promo. Again, sort of like Carmelo Hayes, I feel like she hasn't quite settled into SmackDown, and that's to be expected. It's a much larger audience on a regular basis. She just needs some time to get comfortable. So I think that this feud has an opportunity to elevate her and kind of elevate Naomi a little bit as well in the process. Tell me your thoughts, though, on the rest of the show. How do you think it went? What was a highlight for you? All right, let's move on to our top 2 sort of moments or stories of the night, and they all sort of surround the Bloodline. We got a video package early in the night with Solo Sikoa cutting a promo on Cody Rhodes and saying that before the end of the night, everyone, including Cody, would acknowledge him. It was a really well done video, really good. If you didn't see that one, go check it out. It's worth tracking down. Solo's really settling into this role. He's really actually gotten a lot better on the mic. He's gotten a lot better in this whole presentation and this whole storyline. I'm really enjoying it. But let's continue on before I get stuck on a tangent. Now, later in the evening, when Cody Rhodes was in the locker room, just kind of sitting there brooding, I guess, because he's basically Batman, Randy Orton would enter the scene, obviously eyeing the WWE Championship. I mean, staring at that thing for quite a long time before looking up at Cody and telling him that as it comes to the Bloodline, he knows what Cody's going to do, but he's got his back. Also said that after this Bloodline story is settled, he would continue to have his back when other people came for that championship. It's my assumption that what he means is he'll be right behind him to attack him with an RKO at his first opportunity. Tell me your thoughts on that, though. Is Randy going to turn on Cody? And why is the answer yes? Moving on, the main event of the night would actually be a rematch of DIY defending the newly won tag team championships against A-Town Down Under. Again, this was a rematch from last week when they won them off of A-Town Down Under. And late in the match, Waller and Theory would set up Tommaso Ciampa for a meet in the middle. Ciampa, of course, avoided it. Waller went for a knee strike on Ciampa. Ciampa moved out of the way, and Waller ended up hitting Theory again. DIY would follow up with their own meet in the middle to pick up the win. Now, right after the match ended, Jacob Fatu would run to the ring and take out everybody along the way, except for Grayson Waller, who ran away, leaving Theory to take the brunt of the beatdown again. So it's happening. A-Town Down Under is effectively over, unfortunately. Theory's going to turn face. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how I feel about it, but you know what? We'll have to see. Cautious optimism. You know, maybe Corbin and Cruz are the tag team that's supposed to replace A-Town Down Under. I don't know. When it comes to tag team wrestling, all bets are off all the time. Anyway, after Jacob Fatu absolutely decimated everybody, including the tag team champions single-handedly, maybe we can get Jacob Fatu as the tag team champions. How fun would that be? Him just walking around with both belts, like whatever tag team wants to step to him, and he just decimates everybody. I'm here for it. Let's do that. Moving on. After that, though, Solo and the rest of the Bloodline would come to the ring, and Solo would call out Cody Rhodes. Cody, of course, would answer, come to the ring. He said, "I've heard everything you have to say. I'm pretty sure we both want the same thing. I got to talk to Nick Aldis, but you can go ahead and consider it official. At SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the WWE Championship. However, after Cody said this, he said if it was up to him, though, he wouldn't even wait until SummerSlam. He would make it happen tonight. At this point, the rest of the Bloodline surrounds him. They attack. This brings out Randy Orton. They kind of get the upper hand for a second, but of course, Jacob Fatu once again destroys everybody. They end up tying Cody up in the ropes facing the announce table and force him to watch as they absolutely beat down Randy Orton and hit him with the triple power bomb through the table. After that, the Bloodline would throw up the ones. They would put the Ulafala back on Solo, and SmackDown would go off the air with the commentary team continuing to sell the dominance and the violence of this version of the Bloodline. This story continues to steal the show every night. I know that there's been so many things said about Solo and how he's not the guy for this and how he can't do it, and you know, the FU Solo chants and we want Roman chants and all that kind of stuff. That means it's working. Solo has become the type of heel that the WWE is trying to create. This is fake go-away heat. This is not actual go-away heat. This is the kind of go-away heat that we're trying to create. We want a heel character that is just evil, that makes us cheer for somebody who prior to that was what we thought was evil. Now we want Roman Reigns to come back despite the fact that he always cheated to win, despite the fact that he is a classic and perfect picture of an actual heel wrestler. Solo has made us look at him and think, man, this guy, we'd rather have him bring back Roman. I love the part where Solo said, you people don't deserve Roman Reigns. You've got me now. I was like, what? Okay, we're in. I'm sorry. If you still hate Solo, you're missing the point. I think I'll just say it. Acknowledge him, okay? He settled into this role really, really well. Tell me your thoughts, though, on the new tribal chief. Do you acknowledge him? I also think that at some point, Jacob Fatu is going to end up being the tribal chief. He is the one. He's him. But for right now, Solo's doing a really, really good job. All right, let's talk about the show overall. Outside of the Bloodline story, for me, it was really just focused on mid-card stuff. We got a really good opening segment, a really good closing segment, and everything in between was just kind of okay. And so for that, I've got to say that this show for me was probably about a 6.5 out of 10. You know, like I said last week, SmackDown does have a few stories that have the potential to be great, but outside of the Bloodline, there's not really anything that's in that higher gear right now. There's not really anything that's really, really cooking. You know, Logan Paul and LA Knight's story and rivalry, it could be there, but because Logan is a part-timer, it's kind of slogging along a little bit because LA Knight has to carry it by himself. If there's anybody on the SmackDown roster that can carry an entire feud by themselves, it is LA Knight. Yeah, he can do it. He's doing it really well, but it would be so much better if Logan Paul was there. So I really am hoping that they get that title off of Logan Paul at SummerSlam. I think he's done a great thing for the WWE. I think having him as the United States champion was a win. I don't like it on the actual week-to-week program, but outside of that, I love it because he's taking that belt on his podcast. He's talking about the WWE regularly. He's bringing more and more fans to the product, which means it's just going to continue to get better and better. I like what he's done, but for storylines, for SmackDown itself, for week-to-week programming, having the belt on him is really, really hard because we thought Roman Reigns was a part-timer, but this guy is the definition. He's had the belt for 250 days and he's defended it twice. Anyway, again, I am on a tangent here. I hope they get the belt off of Logan Paul at SummerSlam, despite the fact that I think he's done a really good job carrying it. But tell me your thoughts, though. Again, like I said, this show for me, 6.5 out of 10. Nothing great about it. It just sort of slogged along, and I just felt like there wasn't really enough content there to fill the 2 hours. In fact, as I was watching the Bloodline segment, I didn't realize that we were at the end of the show. I thought we were in about the middle of the second hour. There was going to be another match after that, something else. When the show went off the air, I was like, oh, that's it? Okay. So again, 6.5 out of 10. Tell me your thoughts. How would you rate the show? What was the highlight for you? That brings us to one of my favorite segments on the show, Brand Wars. Who won the week? Which brand had the best show this week? Who got it done? And I've got to say right here at the very top, Raw takes it again. I said on Monday that I thought Raw was going to win this week. I'm not picking it because I wanted to be right back then. I wanted to be wrong. I was hoping that we would see something better from NXT, something better from SmackDown. They just didn't deliver. Raw, on the other hand, got a big week, had a great show, and that's 4 weeks in a row for Raw. Look, if I'm going to be biased in any sort of direction towards one of these brands, I'll tell you, it's NXT. I love NXT, and I love when it's doing really, really well. But Raw has got this thing 4 weeks in a row for a lot of really good reasons. This week, Rhea Ripley came back. Bo Dallas showed up in person in Adam Pearce's office. Even the debut of Sonya Deville's group has some interest there, has something that's exciting about it, and Raw continues to do that week after week. They're on quite a run right now. If you missed this past week's episode, you can check out this video right here. I'd love to tell you all about it and help you catch up. But tell me your thoughts. Do you agree? Who won this week as it relates to Raw, NXT, or SmackDown? And what was the highlight of the week for you? Let me know in the comments. Would love to talk to you down there. Well, that is it for today. Thanks for stopping by Rumble Rewind and hanging out with me for a few minutes. Before you go, remember, do me a quick favor, scroll down, hit that like button for me, because every like helps get this channel out to people like me and you, wrestling fans who want to talk about wrestling. So get it out there. Subscribe to the channel. Remember, we're pushing for 200 subscribers. We're getting closer and closer. Let's get there by SummerSlam. Help us out in that way. Turn on those post notifications, because once we do hit that goal, we're doing a giveaway. Would love for you to be eligible and be one of the first to know. You got your post notifications on. You will never miss an upload, and you will be in the know. All of these are completely free ways that you can support the channel and help us grow, and it really means a lot every time you click one of those buttons. So thank you for that. If you want to talk more about what's going on in the WWE right now, check out this video right here. Once again, thanks for stopping by Rumble Rewind. I'll see you on the next one.